Can you hear me now? That's what happened. We have quite a few people missing today. There'll be like 9 of us. What? I guess so. Is that what it is? It's the monologue and the fact that we're going to be doing the consonant markings. I'm scared about that actually for you guys. I'm like, they're all gonna quit. They're all gonna quit on me. With the Brady Bunch.
Who does play?
I would never do a play. Except
Right?
I just did one. Never mind.
We all did.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in its heavy pace from day to day to the last still recorded time. Hail, King Hereafter!
It's a play.
All of us were
It's like a Shakespeare play. Ugh.
Scottish one is my least favorite.
Scottish? I know. The
Right,
Scottish
Mackers
play?
is just the worst, right?
Mackers is the worst. You can never say the name inside of a theater or you get cursed. I know this from
Right.
experience.
Oh, jeez.
Liliana gave everything. Always. When we were buried, during the avalanche beneath the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. I was only a couple of inches from the surface. But I was unable to move because my feet were pressed against her chest. If I pushed against her, she would sink deeper and deeper. What's the meaning of that, Numa? When we finally got her out, she was just a lifeless corpse. And I hugged her with all my strength, and I realized I had a purpose. To take that love and bring it back to my kids. Her death was not in vain, Enuma. That wound in your leg does not make you useless.
Nor will these hands never be clean! No more of that, my lord. No more of that.
I volunteer as tribute.
Okay, you guys ready? So Michael, take a second to get yourself stead and ready. And let's have some fun with this.
Liliana gave everything, always.
So what do you got for your breathing?
The breathing that kind of occurred naturally as I verbalized my entity was just like kind of being in this moment of like waiting to breathe. Like that's the best way I can describe it. Like just saying everything I have to say and then like getting really tense during the other party's response and then taking a deep breath to speak more. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay. So I'd like you to try that with this. I want you to do an exploration of the monologue with that breath.
Liliana gave everything, always. During the avalanche, while buried under the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. And there was only a few inches between me and the surface, and there was simply no way of getting her out without getting me out first. But I couldn't move because my feet were pressed against her chest, and if I pressed against her, that would make her sink deeper and deeper. And what's the point of that, Numa?
All right. I know you messed the words up for that a little bit, but that was way better.
Thank you.
So isn't that interesting? Just changing the breath up.
Yeah.
I believed you so much more this time.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, doing the breath work made the entity come to life inside me a lot more than it was.
So what do you learn from that?
that like breath work needs to be its own, like I need that to make my entity stronger and my acting stronger in general. Like I can't, that's not something that's like, oh, we can figure that out in class. It's like that has to be part of my entity framework that I do throughout the week, is figuring out the breath work that is created with the entity, and then make that a focal point of practicing up to here. Like I can't wait for it to be discovered. I have to make a concerted effort to discover it as I'm doing the back work, basically.
I think so. It's very helpful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I also noticed you were very vulnerable, which probably made you trip over your lines too.
Mhm.
So if you were to practice this with that kind of vulnerability, then you probably won't trip over your lines as much, because we suddenly put you into all this vulnerability and your lines really went this time,
Yeah.
which is okay. I mean, we're in class, we're working on it. But if you were to practice at that level of vulnerability with your lines, then you're probably going to remember your lines more and be able to get them out more clearly, as well as experience your vulnerability and be able to, I don't want to say stand that, but stand your vulnerability. Sometimes it's really hard for us as actors, as people, to feel vulnerable. And that's a big part of being an actor, is vulnerability and being able to tolerate that and allow that and actually one day relish in it.
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche, when we were buried in the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. There's only a few inches between me and the surface, but we couldn't get her out unless I got out first. I couldn't even move because my feet were pressed against her chest, and if I pushed against her, she was just going to sink deeper and deeper. What's the meaning of that, Numa? Finally got her out. She was just this lifeless corpse. Hugged her with all of my strength, and I felt a love that I've never felt before in my life. That's when I realized that I had a purpose. Just bring that love I was squeezing against my chest and bring it to my kids back. Her death wasn't in vain. Numa, that wound in your leg doesn't make you useless.
That was amazing. Look what you did. What did you do? So Monday night, they're in the intermediate Monday night class, and it wasn't nearly as good as this. So what did you do between now and Monday to do this kind of work?
I did a lot of read-throughs of it, just with the consonants, focusing on that. And then last night I did the entire thing, doing the shivering cry.
Oh, shiver cry.
And then I did another one through of it, just with full-on radiancy.
Awesome.
So just a lot of that. And then to stir myself, I just kind of like vibrated myself just for a second, tightened up all of my muscles, and then let it come out.
Excellent. So good. So moving. Isn't that amazing what the consonants do?
Yeah.
It's crazy, huh?
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche, while buried under the snow, I could feel her underneath me. There was only a few inches between me and the surface, but there was simply no way to get her out if I didn't get myself out first.
I was unable to move because my feet were pressed against her chest. And if I pushed against her, she would sink deeper and deeper. What's the meaning of that, Numa?
Quincy, that was nice.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the work you did.
I worked a lot. I did a lot of that breathing, the
Okay.
breath work
Mhm.
and everything, and work and focusing on my entities. I did a lot of verb work, probably a little less than I've done in the weeks past because I really felt like my breath work was where I was lacking. So I focused on that a lot this last week.
Yeah, your verbs
Mhm.
seemed really clear. So well-crafted verbs. That's great. I think that what this is lacking is intention.
Mhm.
The why are you saying this to him?
Mhm.
Which we know why, right? Why are you saying this to him?
Because I don't want him to lose hope. And I
Yeah.
want him to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it might need a little bit more heartening of your intention, which is just like wanting it more. Let's try it again and just want it more.
Okay.
Okay. Stay with your breath.
Okay.
Stay with your breath, maybe even heighten your breath a little bit more.
Okay.
With it, but really need him to feel hopeful.
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche, while buried under the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. There was only a few inches between me and the surface. But there was simply no way to get her out if I didn't get out first. But I was unable to move because my feet were pressed against her chest, and if I pushed against her, it would make her sink deeper and deeper. What's the meaning of that, Numa?
Yeah, there you go. You feel that?
Mm-hmm.
You could probably let go of it even a little bit more and just let it be more spontaneous. But
Mhm.
but where we are right now is good. That was lovely.
Either thou, Macbeth, or else my blade with an unbattered edge I sheathe again undeeded.
Is it raining?
It
Does it
might
sound
be
like
'cause it was
rain?
kind of starting
It
to
was
pick up
earlier,
here.
yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Did you leave one with them?
No.
Oh.
My husband and I took our couch to
Oh,
the
no.
Is it outside?
to the we took it to the car wash yesterday. Once a year we take our couch to the car wash
Genius.
and we wash it.
Put it in the back of a
You
truck.
put it
or
back in the
something?
truck and just spray the crap at it. Our car's outside, our couch is outside in the rain.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I was just a few inches from the surface and there was simply no way to get her out before I got myself out. But I couldn't move because my feet were pressed against her chest, and if I pushed, she would just sink deeper and deeper. I really wanted to focus on the objective because my problem in the past would be to take this scene and to go in.
So what I saw in here was you were definitely accessing your emotions, but I agree, it wasn't that specific because you have such access to your emotions, you can almost, not that they weren't real, but you can almost like fake it. You can almost get us to go, oh, wow, look at this actress feeling a lot, which is great, but we want more specificity with it. So I think we need to look at the entity with it because you say I didn't really land on anything specific. I think it didn't quite work because it didn't quite release you enough into really being specific and very, very real about it.
And I was just a few inches from the surface. There was simply no way to get her out before I got myself out. And I couldn't move because my feet were pressed against her chest. And if I pushed down, she would sink deeper and deeper. What is the meaning of that?
All right. What did that feel like?
Different?
Mm-hmm. So it became more truthful and more real. Yeah, it did. We just barely did this. And so it's hard for you to sink into it right off the bat, but it took you someplace more real.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So if you were to fiddle around with this more, I bet you could really go somewhere with it. So one thing we need to start working on in class is cheating out from the camera and not be completely glued to our partner when we're talking. A lot of us do that in here. It's very easy to do. When we start acting, we have to talk to our partner the whole time and da 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 da. We don't do that in real life. In real life, we're talking and then we kind of look away and we think about things and we blah, blah, blah. And then we go back and look at the person. We're kind of like little birds. We rest on our person and then we flit over here and then we flit over here and then we rest back. And then, do you see? Quincy is my eyeline right here. And I'm talking Liliana, blah, 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 blah. And then as soon as I start thinking about the story, maybe my eyes can drift over to here. And then I see the avalanche and I see her body and I see, then I'm talking. My intention is still on my partner. I'm not now on here. My intention's on them, but my vision has drifted. And then I can go back and look at them a little bit and talk a little bit more. You know, Numa, what does that mean, Numa? And then I did this and I talk about the other little part of where, you know, then I hugged her and I felt this love and I want to give it to my kids, and then go back and anchor. It's like you're anchored into your partner, but you got to tether. You got to let yourself drift.
Like when we did that scene in the car where it was like all about keeping our intention on our partner, but we're focusing on the road and the
yes. You're still keeping your intention where your eye is going. You're still like Numa da 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 da. You're keeping your intention instead of keeping your intention on the person and looking away. So Numa da 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 da, and then the iceberg happened and the avalanche and blah, 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 but my intention is still on the person, but I'm looking away. Do you see the difference? So, because when you move your intention, we think that you're talking to another person because your eye line is so strong, right? It's confusing to us. We're like, wait a minute, I thought you were talking to this person that you're talking to now. So it's very hard to do this. This is very tricky. To keep your intention on your partner, but drift out at Taya the whole time. That's fine. Okay. Just if you want to look at her, but let's see if we can, because you've done a lot of work on this, clearly. But let's see if you can let go of it more and let it take over.
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche while buried beneath the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. There was a couple inches between me and the surface. But there was simply no way to get her out if I didn't get out first. But I couldn't move because my feet were directly pressed against her chest. And if I pressed against her, she would have sank deeper and deeper. What is the meaning of that, Numa? Okay.
What did you get out of that?
It was kind of difficult, to be honest. Like, making it conversational and keeping the intensity, but we're out in the freezing cold and having entity work, but also letting go. It was all just... It was so much to wrap my brain around, and I'm, like, getting emotional about it right now, actually. It's weird.
Well, that's why we train. Train so that we can do all of those things at once. We can juggle all of those balls. Okay, great. Who's next?
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche while buried under the snow.
It's clear what you're doing. It's clear. Your verbs are clear. You're connecting with your partner quite well. I just would like it to be more triggered emotionally. So why don't we do... I'm thinking maybe a trigger word exercise. Trigger word exercise, you're going to say your trigger word, the word that makes you feel something, and then you're going to say the line right afterwards. And you're not going to say the line like you would for the monologue. You're going to say the line like feelings that you have when you say the trigger word. We're exploring the underbelly of the emotions.
Letter. Liliana gave everything. Letter. Always. Letter. During the avalanche while buried under the snow, letter. I could feel her body underneath mine. Letter. There was only a few inches between me and the surface.
Okay, cool. What did that feel like? Gina, that was a
I
really-
definitely felt more emotionally connected.
Okay, good. All right. So I want you to take that organic instruction, what that felt like inside, and let's do the monologue now.
Liliana gave everything. Always. During the avalanche while buried under the snow, I could feel her body underneath mine. There was only a few inches between me and the surface. There was simply no way to get her out if I didn't get out first. But I wasn't able to because my feet were pressed against her chest. And if I pushed against her, she would have sunk deeper and deeper. What's the meaning of that, Numa?
Okay, awesome. So what are we learning here, you guys?
Breathwork makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does. Ultimately, what we want to happen is for our emotions to run away with us,
Right.
to allow that to happen. And the verb work supports that, is the scaffolding. It's the action that releases that. And then all the entity work is what stirs up the emotion, right? And
Okay.
we can't control
Right.
emotion. Remember, we can't control emotion. We can only control our behavior. And so we lean into our behavior and we use that in hopes that our emotions will run away with us.
And I hugged her with all the strength that I had. There's a love that I felt that I've never felt in my entire life. And I knew that I had a purpose. That was to take that love and to bring it back home to my kids.
Hey, Brandon, nice. Nice. Okay, so we had a moment of his emotions running away with him, right? That's great. That's what we want to happen. That little thunderstorm, that little breakage happened. Good. What did you do to prepare for this week?
To be honest with this one, I really tried to focus on what I wanted. Like, what do I want for my partner? I forgot who I was listening to, but they said if you're not, you need to make your partner do something. You need to make whoever you're doing this to do something.
It's the action that brings it out, right?
Mhm.
Action. So I believe it was me that said, get your partner to do something. I'm sure you heard somebody else, but
It probably was you, and it's
I've
probably with
probably
other
been
people.
saying that.
I just Juliana's like, that's been me for the past 5 months, Fran.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. That's it for
Ciao,
tonight.
everybody.
All right. Thank you, Julianne. Love you, beautiful people.
Bye, guys.
Online people, can you all hear me?